All right, so we've explained up to now in this beautiful speech that the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave at the end of 1991, Tafshin Nun Beit, about, of course, that's the main subject of Chabad and the main subject of the world, and should be the main subject of all humanity, namely Mashiach, because Mashiach is going to make everybody aware that there's a creator and that the creator is creating us, and he's creating us for a reason, and there can't be anything more obvious and more simple and more, how do you say, encouraging and inspiring than that. But on the other hand, it's also, there can't be anything more, say, fantastic and impossible to understand and against our, if you want to call it common sense, than that. We're being created. We feel we're being created. We see we're being created. So that's the whole idea of the Jewish people, to go against nature, or go against, and to even more to transform nature, that we'll feel that there's actually a creator and he's creating us, he's creating all the spiritual worlds, and we don't appreciate him properly. And if we do, then we'll have much, how do you say, bigger horizons in our lives. We'll put everything in a bigger context. So, okay. So this, what we're celebrating now, this Shabbat, and this is especially what the topic of this is, the subject is, the birthday and the passing away of the second Rebbe of Chabad, who is called the Mittler Rebbe, because everybody thought that the third Rebbe he was the Moshiach. So they called him the Tzemach Tzedek, and therefore the first Rebbe was called the Old Rebbe, and the second was called the Middle Rebbe, and the third, they thought that was going to be the third Rebbe. But it didn't exactly pan out that way, so there was 4 Rebbes after him. So there was 5 Rebbes after the second Rebbe, instead of just 1 Rebbe after. So he's called the Emtsei, the Admor Emtsei. We're going to see in a little bit more, that there's a very big importance to this term, this title, which was given to him, the Middle Rebbe. The Middle Rebbe. Now, again, we just have to point out and to just keep reminding ourselves that these Rebbes were not just leaders of this particular Jewish fanatic Hasidic movement, that they were, they had their plan of how to go to heaven, and everybody else, they're like in Noah's Ark, and everybody else is on the outside. No, we're not talking about going to heaven at all. Not one bit. And we're not talking about what we receive. We're only talking about rewards. It's not spoken about rewards. We're not talking about that. We're talking about how to make the whole world healthy, how to improve and bring blessing to this whole physical world. If you look through all these sichos and maimon, you won't see talking about heaven or hell at all. It's just not mentioned. They exist, such a thing, but it's totally not important. It's not up to us. It's not heaven and hell and these rewards. God knows how to judge people. He'll take care of it. It shouldn't be on our minds at all. And if it's not, we'll be much more happy and much less selfish. What should be on our minds is how we can make this world what it really is, right? A garden of godliness, like it wasn't when God created the world. The Gan Eden, it was a garden of Eden. That's the way the world is supposed to be, and even better. So how do we do this? We do it by understanding properly. We have to have proper understanding. In the future, this proper understanding will, when we understand what we can, then God will also give a big blessing. The world will be filled with knowledge of God like water fills the ocean. And he says that's even more, that's really not just the regular knowledge of God like water, but it'll also be happy knowledge like wine, and even more, it'll be the deepest of knowledge like oil. Wine is the secrets of the Torah, and oil is the secrets of the secrets. What is the secrets of the secrets? The secrets of the Torah are the upper worlds. What's the secrets of the secrets? This physical world. What's going on here? What's really the purpose? Why did God make all these spiritual worlds and so to speak, abandon them for this physical world? Here's where he gave the Torah. Here's why. But it says, the revelation, and Hasidut explains that. That's what the teachings of Hasidut are. If you don't know what that is, go to your local Chabad house, ask them what it is, and find out from them. The Gilui Torah Hasidut, the revelation of Torah Hasidut, in Kislev itself, there's the joining of the spiritual and the physical, especially by means of the second Rebbe of Chabad, Emtsai. You do it's known to Gilui toward the Chassidut that the revelation of Chassidut it was an orderly way. Orderly. The Baal Shem Tov, he just said words and sayings, gave everybody a general feeling that there's hope, that God loves us, that every Jew is valuable, every Jew is precious, that the whole world is precious. But it wasn't in an orderly fashion. And Chabad took it and put it in a proper order. That's the idea of the book, the Tanya. But and each one of us, of the rabbis of Chabad, the 7 rabbis of Chabad, Nisienu, our leaders, Gila, they revealed a Paul Ode, and they revealed another level in this revelation. So the order, not only did Chabad itself order the ideas, but the way that it was revealed, it was also in a certain order. And because we're talking about bringing ideas into the world, which on one hand is the most obvious thing in the world, but on the other hand, it's totally against human nature and against our experience, right? That God is creating us, that God has a reason for the creation, that the Torah is the wisdom of God. What do you have a scientific proof for that? Even more, the Jewish people, it says on Mount Sinai, that they saw and felt God give the Torah. They heard God say, don't worship idols. 40 days later, they all worshiped the golden calf. Huh? They heard and they saw. Because worshiping idolatry is, how do you say, it's a natural urge. And to worship the creator of the universe is something above nature. And Judaism came to change nature. Well, this didn't really happen in an orderly way until Chabad came along. Chabad came along and they changed the way that people thought, that they took ideas which are incomprehensible and brought them into the realm of comprehension, of understanding. So that so this was revealed little by little. The first Rebbe of Chabad, Admar Zaken, he revealed what's called Chachma. This is what's called 10 Sfirot, right? So he revealed this aspect which is called Chachma. Namely, the point that he was trying to get across. Who Gilo et Inyani Chasidut Ba'ofen Shel Nakuda. He revealed this point of what Chasidut is, that it's possible for everybody to think about God. It's possible for everybody to get excited about God. It's possible that through these ideas you can come to love God and to fear God. And after him came the second Rebbe of Chabad, and Emtsai. And he was the level of Bina. Bina means understanding. Like the letters of God's name, Yud, and then afterwards Hey. Yud is like a little point. That's like the first Rebbe of Chabad. And Hey is wide. He took this point of what Chassidut is, and these points, ideas, right? Every Jew is holy. Every Jew has to do tshuva. Even the holiest Jews. He says, of these points, he gave them a bir rachab b'havana v'asaga, and a wide way of explaining the adis pashtus v'schachos until it's like wide, like like the wideness of a river. The first Rebbe of Chabad, he was like the wellspring. And the second Rebbe of Chabad is like a wide river that this wellspring comes out into revelation. That's called Bina, understanding. He took these deep ideas of the first Rebbe and he made them wide. That's the second Rebbe. That's the one who we're celebrating, that he passed away and he was born on the same date. Bedugmas man, or something like a river of understanding, river, Shenim Shachim in Mayan, which comes from a wellspring. Ella Shabanar, and this river that the first Rebbe of Chabad made like a wellspring, like just a point of Chassidut. And the second Rebbe of Chabad, who this is one we're celebrating, he made it like into this huge flowing river. But in a river of knowledge. But in this river, hey, Misrachmim, Mispashtim, it gets wider and it spreads out more. Kafisha Roim, like we can see in the discourses, the Hasidic, what do they call it? The essays, speeches, actually, that were converted into essays that he made. That the topics of Chassidut of the first Rebbe came in the writings of this, which were just in a point, came in the second Rebbe with tremendous long explanations. They said there was one time when he said one mimer, what was it, 15 hours long. 15 hours just explaining. In order to in order to bring this unity of a seichel, of intellect, ima muska, with the idea. In other words, our intellect, our grasp of godliness with godliness itself. The Nina Dinan, in our case, this is uniting the intelligence, intellect, comprehension of a man, Deyat Hashem, to know God by means of learning the ideas of Chassidut. This demands, if you want to understand, this demands that in order to just get the point of what he's talking about, an understanding shall bina, but open in a way shall of his rachvus, of being wide. Let's just take an idea, right? Let's say you have to be honest, right? Somebody hears you have to be honest. If you're not honest, you get punished. It's bad. You go to honest. You have to be honest. So he understands. Yes, to be honest is good. To lie is bad. He understands his ideas. I'm just taking a simple example. This is not ideas of the Rebbe. I'm just trying to make it sort of user friendly. What does it mean, a point, and what does it mean, a river? Right? What does it mean, the wellspring and the river? So a person hears an idea, right? You have to be honest. You have to be honest. And then he goes outside, and his mother or whatever has, it was a beautiful speech. Where were you just now? Right? He was supposed to be going to to buy something in the grocery store for his mother, but instead he stood there and he listened to this lecture about honesty. And he got, where were you just now? Said, I tripped and fell. He doesn't want to tell his mother that he was at this lecture. I tripped and fell. I hurt my knee. It really hurts. He does it in order to get away from his mother, right? His mother said, why are you lying for? He says, that's a lie. I didn't know. What do you mean a lie? Well, it's not a lie. It's the truth. It's the truth. So he's saying these things in order to cover over himself, but he doesn't realize that he wants to be true. He doesn't realize that this is not being true. So he goes back to the lecturer and he says, tell me, what do you mean? You say you have to be true. If you don't get true, what does it mean? She says, well, what it means is that no matter what happens, you never lie, you never cheat, you never, right? And it could be that even this, that even the lecturer himself, there's certain details he doesn't understand, right? About this, what the point that he made. He made this beautiful point, right? I'll give you another example. Believing in God. You have to believe in God, right? You have to believe in God. God exists. There's thousands of religions in the world that believe in God, and it brings them to idolatry because they understand the general point. Believing in God's a good thing. But what about understanding the details, how it spreads out into all the ramifications? That's called Chachma and Bina. Chachma is the basic idea, right? Forget about this idea that I said in the beginning about honesty. Here's a better one. Believing in God. You got to believe in God. You got to believe in God. There's a creator. I believe, right? There's all sorts of aberrations and how to change, right? Aberrations, I'm sorry. And twists you can take. Maybe this book is true. Maybe that book is true. Maybe that. He believes the point he's got to believe in God. But how does it spread out, right? What are the ramifications? Let's take our example now. Here we go. God is creating me. What does that mean? Whoa, God is creating me. I believe in God. I believe in the Lord, right? Okay, but it says it says in the Gemara, it's really in a book called Ayin Yaakov. It says that a thief, maybe just a Jewish thief, I don't know, before he goes to steal, he prays to God for success. He's a thief, but he prays to God. He believes in God, shows he believes in God. And God, he says to himself, listen, God made me a thief. I believe in God. Well, I heard what the rabbi said. God makes everything. He made me a thief. Therefore, he made me a thief. I'll do my job. I'll do what God created me for. In other words, he's got the point, but he doesn't have the ramifications of what it means. If you really believe in God, then you have to believe in God. He'll provide you money. He'll provide you whatever you need. Who says you need a brand new, Lamborghini? You have to steal money for that. Maybe a bicycle is also good. Who knows? Right? You'll find a job next to your house. You better don't worry. You have to trust in God. Trust in God. All the details. How to find. So first of all, there's the point. That's the idea of Chassidut Chabad. I know God creates me. Oh, I got the point. That's the Alter Rebbe's point. You read, but what are the ramifications of this? What are the ramifications? Does it mean I can go out and steal? Right? Can I lie? Can I cheat? Right? Is everything okay? Everything is permissible for the sake of my religion? Right to me? Is it okay? The ends justify the means. I believe in God, right? So believing in God, that's the chachma, that's the point. Being is widening it out. see all the ramifications, and also even more to make it deeper and deeper. What is this God that I'm supposed to believe in? Oh, it's the angels, something. It's something above me, right? Something that's above me. Oh, no, no, no. What's above you? The angels. That's just a creation, right? Let's understand a little bit deeper about God. So that's Bina. Bina makes it wide and makes things deeper. Understand? That's the difference between the first Rebbe of Chabad, that he gave us this amazing point that God really does exist and he creates us, which that's pretty amazing. But the second Rebbe of Chabad, he explained what God is, all the ramifications of this point. Not as far as not stealing or anything, but yes, right? So that it comes into our heart, we really feel and understand, because it widened out the idea to encompass all aspects of life. That's the second Rebbe of Chabad. Al Derech is similarly moved, and it's also understood regarding to uniting spiritual and physical godliness and the world, which is done by means of Chassidut. That the completion of this is done by means of Shenosef L'Chachma, that in addition to having the proper idea, concept, he also has Bina, the proper understanding. You want to bring God into the world, you have to really understand what you're doing. Kafisha Davar, like it's explained also in the physical life of the Admor Emtsayev, the second Rebbe. Divrei Tzemach Tzedek, the second Rebbe of Chabad, the third Rebbe of Chabad, he was the grandson of the first Rebbe. The third Rebbe of Chabad was the son of the first Rebbe's, of the Alter Rebbe's daughter. She gave her life. She exchanged her life for the Alter Rebbe. It's a long story, Dvar Malchut. But he said about his uncle, Tzemach Tzedek, right, that was his mother's brother. She said about the second Rebbe of Chabad, he said, if someone would cut my uncle's finger, lo yaporetz dam, blood wouldn't come out, kim chassidut, but chassidut would come out. What does that mean? Of course, blood would certainly come out, but what does it mean? Shechayav, that his very life, his physical life, even his blood, which is blood is the soul, was chassidut. It was spiritual, uniting godliness with the world. He was an example. We can say Shatam, the reason is because Sherachovas Anar, that the second Rebbe of Chabad, that he was widening out these ideas of Bina. This is not just spreading out this point of wisdom, Ella, but Mishum Shehem Nimshachin Mishor Bina. Because he didn't just take the ideas of the first Rebbe of Chabad and explain them, but he had a source himself. Okay, like this, listen. Sometimes the ability to explain things is higher than the things you're explaining. Let's again, a simple example, right? You have ideas, deep ideas. There was Albert Einstein had these deep ideas of physics, right? And they can't be explained. You can't explain them to the normal, regular person. But he did. He explained it. Normal, regular. He could explain it, bring it down to the point where even Walt Disney made a movie about the theory of relativity. It was a movie for kids. Showed how things are relative. And there was the ability to have wonderful ideas that comes from a very deep source, though, a genius. But the ability to explain them comes from a different source. And in some ways, that's even deeper. Now let's go to our example. We're talking about godliness. Right? Albert Einstein was explaining something that he understood to be a principle of nature. If it doesn't work, then you throw it away. Here we're talking about God. If it seems that it doesn't work, it means that it's something wrong with your understanding, or it's impossible to be understood. The first Rebbe of Chabad brought it into the world in a point. How God is creating us, how it's possible to understand this, to get excited about it. The second Rebbe, he took all these points and he explained them in a wide way. The ability to explain things in a wide way, that comes from even a deeper source than all these points themselves. Look, and therefore, therefore, this deeper source has its power to join spiritual and physical. Biyosam lamayla mishneim, to be above both of them, exactly the opposite. The revelation of this essential wideness of God comes by means of our service here below. In other words, the point of godliness that the first Rebbe of Chabad was trying to explain was brought more into reality, into the physical world, by the second Rebbe, and even more the physical world that reflects more godliness than the upper worlds do. But in order to reveal this, you have to have somebody that's very, very, that's even higher than the original point. Yishlom, or we can say, Shezeo, that's why the second Rebbe of Chabad is called Admor Emtsai, the middle Rebbe. Middle Rebbe, like a middleman. Huh? A middleman. In English, in Hebrew, Emtsai means a means to something else. But also in English, the middle Rebbe, a middle is like a middleman. He's nothing in himself. He just joins between what was before him and what's after him, between two others. In Yiddish, especially, a mittel, the mittel means a means. The middle implies shehu ba bein, between the first one and the third one. He's in the middle. He joins them. The second Rebbe of Chabad, the middle Rebbe, Biyoto, because he was in the level of Bina, he was able to join the Rebbe that was before him, the first Rebbe of Chabad, the point of wisdom, him and Nasi Shacharov, with the Rebbe that's after him, the Tzemach Tzedek. The first Rebbe of Chabad was Chachma. The Tzemach Tzedek, he's Chachma, Bina, he's Dat. Okay, what's the difference between Chachma, Bina, and Dat? Chachma, Bina, Dat. Chachma is the original point. Dat means to actually feel that, reveal it, realize it. Dat means realization. Bina means understanding. But let's take our example we gave before about the thief, the religious thief, right? He believes that there's God, 100% he believes that there's God. Why doesn't he refrain from stealing? Because he believes in God, but he doesn't really trust in God. That's coming to the Lubavitcher Rebbe gave a long speech about that on dollar bills, and the money, I think all the money in America is written, in God we trust. It's the basis of America. It's the basis of America. The basis of America is trusting in God. No, what does it mean, trust? It didn't say in God we believe. In God we have faith. It says God we trust. What does it mean, trust? You have faith in somebody, you believe in somebody good. Like there was a famous comedian in America, Jackie Mason, he passed away just recently. He said, I love America. I'll do anything for America. I'm willing to give my life for America. He said, my money not. But in other words, theoretically, yes, everything. But when it comes right down, right, to actually trusting something with your money, that's a little bit too much, right? This thief that we're talking about, he believes in God and he is aware of God and he has faith in God, right? But what about where you're going to get money? That's a little bit too, let's not go too far. Right? Let's not go too far. How do you say, your money or your life? Says, look, give me time to think. When it comes down to a person's money, people are willing to stand on the money. People go crazy for money. People are willing to go crazy for money, right? So, that's what's called dat. When a person hears that someone stole his next door neighbor's car, right? What's the first thing he thinks? Oh, yeah, I hope they don't steal my car. That's pretty close, right? And then you feel bad. If somebody steals your car, then you feel all terrible about it. You're not thinking about, wow, I hope they don't steal my next door neighbor's car. That means it's yours. To have the idea of God, that's the first Rebbe. To really feel that all these ideas of the first Rebbe, what God is, that it's really mine, that it'll actually bring me to live, to love God, to fear God, to trust in God, that's the third Rebbe of Chabad. What's the connection between them? The middle, that's understanding God. Understanding all the ideas, that gives you a means to bring it into feeling. Not necessarily will you do it. But if that thief would really understand the ideas, then he would have a better choice, right? And you say ignorance. I didn't know. I didn't know you're not supposed to steal. I didn't steal. I didn't know. If it was explained all the ideas, then he wouldn't have that excuse. The same thing, the second Rebbe, he explained all the ideas of the first Rebbe. How to love God, how to fear God, how to have faith in God. He explained the great. Whether you do it or not, that's the third Rebbe of Chabad. But at least he gave the means. He was the middle. But often Shekol Kalal Gimel Roshi in a way that it included the second Rebbe of Chabad. He included all the, Dat, the third Rebbe of Chabad. He included all the three fathers, Chachma, Bin, and Das. Kevin Sin, Shabo, Mitbates, Klolos, Apula, Shel, Gile, Chasidut, Chabad. That's really the second Rebbe of Chabad. That's the main thing of what Chabad really is, to join God with the world. And he joined the godly ideas of the first Rebbe of Chabad to the practical ideas of the third Rebbe of Chabad. He was the one that joined them together. According to what we said before, now we can understand why it was the second Rebbe of Chabad. That's how we started off this whole thing. Is this novelty that he was born on the date. He was born on the same date that he passed away. Shinistalik, he also passed away on Tes Kislev. How long ago? I think it was 52 years or 50. 1 second. 54 years or 52 years? I'm sorry. Just 1 minute. 1 minute. Let me just have a look over here. I'm sorry. Please bear with me. Bear with me here. I should have looked this up before. And in fact, I did look it up before. And I forgot. Here we go. Yud Aleph. Tetz Kislev. He passed away in Peichet, and he was born in Tov Kuv Chaf. So if so, he was 68 years old. Where did I get the 72 from? I don't know. 1 second. Let's get this clear. 1 minute. 1 minute. I'm sorry. 1 second. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Lamed Dalid until Pei Chet, which Lamed Dalid to Pei Chet. That's right. It's Lamed Dalid. 54 years. He's 54 years old. Yeah. Good. Okay, 54 years old. I think it, not 52, 54 years old. 54 years after he was born, exactly the same date he passed away. Kevin Sinsha Etzlo, by him, Nimsa Bahad Gasha, Hachibur, this felt the joining between spiritual and physical. Middle, he was the middle Rebbe. So therefore, it's fitting that that this should be expressed even in the physical world, that his days were complete. Ashlemus Bavoda Ruchnis, his completion in his spiritual service, this this is expressed, and it, what do you want to call it? It irrigated, it watered, like rain, that all of his days is physical days. His spirituality, this is what filled up, enlivened all of his physical life. Shagam Haim to Mimim, that would also be complete. Just like his spiritual service was complete, so his physical was. Alpis, according to this, we can say that's the reason that this day, Tet Kislev, is also the preparation for Yud Kislev. Now, Yud Kislev was the day that he got out of prison. And this was 1 year before he passed away. Chaga Geula Shalom, his redemption, this was set as a the first year after he passed away. But he passed away in Pei Zayin. Kevin, since Sheshlemas Achibur, since the completion of the service of God, it was completed physically. Therefore, this is a preparation for I'm sorry. This is a proper preparation, and it gives us immediately the power to bring about the Geula Again, the second Rebbe of Chabad, he was born and he passed away on the same date, right? But the next date, right after that, he was released from prison. Now he's going to talk about that, but we won't have time to go over it. But his imprisonment, let's continue here. We'll see. He'll do it like it's known that the the freeing of the second Rebbe was something like the freeing of the first Rebbe from prison. It was mainly against spreading out Chassidut outward. So he was imprisoned about 20 years after he was freed from prison, about 20 years after his father was released from prison. Mainly he sat in prison, especially because of the ideas of Chassidut. That there was a spiritual opposition in those days. The first Rebbe of Chabad, when he came out with his ideas of Chassidut, he had enemies that were very afraid that this was going to destroy Judaism. These were very new ideas about happiness and how all Jews are holy, and even the highest of Jews, they have to change themselves into tshuva. These were very shaky ideas. But so that was in a general way. But this was more specific on all the details of Chassidut. He was put into prison. He was given over. They slandered him to the Russian government. Because he spread out Chassidut in an unprecedented way. And it was very, 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 how do you say, it was a very dangerous situation until he was put into prison and he was released. Okay, so this idea of being released from prison, and we have to sort of put this into proper perspective. That, I mean, in those days, the Jews, listen, Russia in those days was perhaps the most religious country that ever existed. Perhaps the most religious country that ever existed in the history of the world. Could be, perhaps. Everyone was Russian Orthodox, everybody. There was no a person that was like a free thinker or something like that. In the days of the Rebbe, there was no such thing like that, except for the Jews. The only real people that did not believe in that religion were the Jews. It could be maybe there were some areas where there were Muslims. It could be. It could be. I'm not a history major, but for sure that country was, the king was super religious, and the church, they had all of the academia was in the hands of the church. Everyone was religious. There was no right. With no go except for the Jews. The Jews, not only did they not believe in that religion, they believed in that religion was false. So, nevertheless, the Jews were respected. They were respected. There was always anti-Semitism all over, but miraculously, by the government, the Jews were respected. All of a sudden, comes here Jews that said, "Here's the Jew that doesn't respect. He's not appreciating all this respect that you're giving. Look, he's against the government. He wants to make a revolution. Who knows what?" When he was put into prison, the whole world was against him. It was like Yosef being in prison. We'll learn a little bit that everyone was against him. Right? There was no chance that he was going to get out. And when miraculously he did, it was a Gula Pritas. This is opening up the door to know that Judaism can not only defy all of its opposition from outside and from inside, but it can even transform it. And we're added on new blessings in an incomparable way to join the upper worlds and the lower worlds. Like it says, the novelty of the Gezerah between Elyonim, Tachtonim, and Matan Torah. It says before God gave the Torah, as the upper worlds and the lower worlds were separate. You wanted to be holy, you had to leave the world. You had to, not get married. You have to separate yourself from the world. To be a shepherd or something. And after the Torah was given, as the holiness came into the world, the upper worlds came into the physical, and the physical, you could be holy but just by doing a commandment. And add until even more that there's the revelation, that was the idea of the redemption of Yud Kislev. Yud Kislev of the second Rebbe, this made that even Tsarist, what was it, the Russian Orthodox religion over there in Russia, they recognized that the second Rebbe Chabad was right. And this is until finally this brings now to us to the even the Yutet Kislev was before that. What do we say, like 20 years before? And this is the Rosh of Hasidut. We are going to have to skip. I don't want to do it, but okay, we're going to finish. Let's go to the end. Let us go to the end. We're almost there. Here. Okay, what is the point? What do we have to do? Since that the joining of the soul with the body and the spiritual with the physical and God with the world, says the Rebbe, it's already done. It already happened. Hakol, everything is ready for the redemption. So what do we have to do? All we have to do is something that'll just take off the cover and reveal the fact. Here it is, right? Like you get a big present in your birthday, you just have to take it out of the box. It's there. First of all, what do we have to do on the birthday of the second Rebbe of Chabad, Tet Kislev, which is going to be the Shabbat? It says we have to increase learning the ideas of the second Rebbe in a way that says it's spreading out, understanding of Bina. I mean, we're trying to do that. We're learning in our classes in the morning from the first Rebbe of Chabad, first Rebbe of Chabad, which that's the point. But everybody should try to go to your local Chabad house and find an idea and ask them, give me an idea of the second Rebbe of Chabad. Here we have a little bit. Shemechaber, that it joins spiritual and physical. It's called the middle Rebbe. He's the middleman. He joined godliness in the world. And this should be something that's relevant to every single Jew. Men, women, like we said many, many times, we have to spread out this wellsprings of God is especially relevant to every Jew, and especially the women and the girls. And especially by means of atimar, by means of learning, and especially by means of this, that the women learn these ideas of Chassidut, this will atimar, this will bring the Moshiach. It's no the Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, and afterwards the Baal Shem Tov, they went up to the chamber of Mashiach. This was like 1,500 years apart. Went up to them and they said, "When are you going to come, Mashiach? When are you going to come?" And he said to the Baal Shem Tov, "When your deep teachings are spread out, that's Chassidut." And learning is great because it brings to deed. Talmud Gadol is because it brings to deed. That we should bring this into to learn the ideas of the second Rebbe of Chabad, that by him there was complete revelation of the ideas of Chassidut in the physical world. So automatically, I'm sorry. In other words, every single day will be filled with this completion and this oneness of the Creator. That each and every person will at least make an effort to explain the spiritual ideas and the Hasidic ideas in a physical way, and in physical things, and in a place that's physical. And you should feel this this warmth and life, and what's called his Judaism should be expressed in everything that he does, so that there's no separation at all between him and the spiritual, between the creation and the Creator. That's the idea of the second Rebbe of Chabad. Every day was filled. As the days came exactly, right? The beginning of his life and the end of his life, it was one complete unit. And we can make every day of our lives also one complete unit, that everything we do is in tune and in a happy way with our Creator. God's creating us all the time. He doesn't stop, so we shouldn't stop. In addition to this, you should try to make forbringers in every single place. And they should, first of all, beginning on Sunday, Yud Kislev, and to speak about the second Rebbe of Chabad, and to take resolutions to improve your thought, speech, action, attitude, and especially your learning of Torah and doing the commandments. Mainly, and also to make preparations for the bigger forbringen, which is Yutet Kislev. That's the day that the first Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison. That opened up, that's like the Jews getting out of Egypt, the first time, right? A new thing that never happened in the history of the world. A whole entire nation got out. The same thing from imprisonment. Same thing, the first Rebbe of Chabad, he opened up the gates the first time that you could actually, human beings, normal people like me, you can sit and learn ideas about God. It was incomprehensible. And to do this, to celebrate, that's what happened, began in Yutet Kislev, when the first Rebbe of Chabad got out of prison. We should try to make every place we can to the ends of the world. There shouldn't be any even corner in the world where there are Jews that without the ideas of Chassidut and the appreciation of what happened on Yutet Kislev, the Rosh Hashanah, the New Year's Day, just like Rosh Hashanah created the world, well, Chassidut brought meaning into the world on Yutet Kislev. Kamoken, similarly, where are we now? We should make forbringings, Hasidic gatherings, the whole month of Kislev, and especially the special days which are connected to Hasidut. By the way, the Rosh Chodesh Kislev was also a very big day. That was the day that the Rebbe, we talked about that before. Oh, the Rebbe had a heart attack, and the first day he left. In any case, especially Chanukah. We have Chanukah. Those are the days of Chanukah, the days of Chanukah. That's the end days of Kislev. The end days of Kislev, from the 25th day of Kislev until the third day of Teves. This is the holiday of the end of the month of Kislev. That's Chanukah. And we said Chanukah is the holiday of oil, which oil is also made. That's also what does it say? It's a hint at the secrets of the Torah that are brought by Hasidut Chabad. This, the lights of Chanukah should illuminate even the outside in a way that expresses and continues and spreads more and more light. Also, it says there should be Chanukah gatherings together, and you should give the children money of Chanukah. Some people give it on the 5th night of Chanukah. You should gather the children together, and every child should give them money, $1, $10, $100. Every child should receive Chanukah gelt, money. But you should advertise that why are we doing it? That the money of Chanukah should go to every single Jew. I know people in the army. The Rebbe used to give out these little sort of a plastic bag, and it had like Shema Yisrael. It had things in it, and 2 coins, very small coins. What is it? The 10 agarot, which translates to be like, I don't know, 5 cents or something like that. Anyway, in this bag, and they would give it out to soldiers. We go to all the army bases and give to soldiers. I know people. This is in the 6-day war. He passed them out. 6 day. I know people that from the 6-day war, they were soldiers. They still have these 2 coins in the bag. They keep it in their wallet. It was such a blessed thing to them, and said that somebody thought about them and gave them. What did they give them? 5 cents. But it's still the idea that they got a present. First of all, they got it from the Rebbe, and they didn't get it from the Rebbe. They got it from the Hasidim. The Rebbe told the Hasidim to do it. But just the idea that somebody really cared about them and gave them something that was a sign of love and hope, that's what we have to do. Okay, this gives an extra power for our day-to-day activities, day-to-day life, because that's the main thing of the second Rebbe of Chabad. Day-to-day activities, as days were complete. This is especially that in our days that we should talk about and think about and learn about the ideas of the future redemption and the coming of Moshiach, which should not be future. It should already be past. It should already happen. Today, in order to prepare and to other people even more for this revelation of the future redemption. May it be God's will that talking about all these things should bring, and the good resolutions that we make should actually bring into action. And the main action is what God has to do. Reveal Moshiach in a total way in front of everybody, all of the Jewish people and every single Jew especially. And immediately all the Jewish people will come, says, they'll fly on clouds of heaven. Huh? That's what it says, they'll fly on clouds of heaven. Right? What does it say at 169? And Daniel, above all the Jews will fly on clouds of heaven. I mean, maybe we'll see. Why not? Together with you won't have to wear masks. Together with the with all of the deeds that all the Jews did in all the time, including all of their money. It says Kasbam Bezavim, with their houses, with everything they own. Don't worry about it. You're not going to lose anything. Together with all of the synagogues, Bate Mikdash Mi'at, all of the synagogues in the world will fly through the air. How can you imagine that? That's what it says in the Gemara. And all of the houses, individual houses. So therefore, people won't have to leave their house. They'll be very happy. Where is there going to be room in Israel for all these houses? Don't worry about it. Don't worry. There will be. That should be our only worry. Asher Naseh Chadurim, because all the homes will be permeated with the light of Hasidut. God dwelled in every single house, will be like a holy temple. All the Jews in all the world, with all of their possessions, and everything will come to the Holy Land, to Jerusalem, to the holy city, to the holy mountain, to the holy temple, the third temple, which we can say that all of the synagogues and all of the houses, which will be like us, like the holy temple, they will all join together, says the Rebbe. And Mikdash Hashem Konan Yadecha, like it was in the and in the third temple, it says, who's going to build this third temple? It says God will. Mikdash Hashem Konan Yadecha. God will build it. This is not a freaky spiritual Kabbalistic idea. It's written in the Gemara, and the Talmud is written that it's going to happen. Anyway, however it's going to happen, it'll be in the Kodesh Kadoshim. Everyone will be in the Holy of Holies with the Even Hashtia, with the foundation stone that from it the whole entire world was founded, and even more should happen immediately now. So the Rebbe is painting us a picture of a beautiful, blessed, happy, healthy, meaningful world that every single human being will feel how much the Creator loves him, and how much responsibility we have to the Creator, and how much power God is giving each and every individual to fulfill this responsibility. That's why we need Moshiach now. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, he is the Moshiach, but we need it to be revealed in a revealed way that everybody appreciates it. It's a wonderful idea that we have a leader and we have a teacher, and we have to follow his orders and we have to learn his ideas, but we want to actually see it in the physical world. Have a good Shabbat with Moshiach now. God bless you all. This Shabbat will be Tet Kislev, right? The second Rebbe of Chabad was born and passed away. And the day after that will be Yud Kislev. And we'll talk about that, God willing, on Sunday at 8:15 in the morning. God bless you all. Have a good day with Moshiach now.
Thank you. Do we do the Yom today?
Oh, Yom. Very good. Hey, very good. Wow,
okay.
Glad you came.
Well, I thought maybe we don't do it on Fridays.
Oh, no.
Okay.
We don't. Just like I forget every day.
And then the chauffeur, right? The chauffeur after that, right?
No chauffeur.
We can only dream of the chauffeur.
Well, one second. What am I doing here? Oh, hi Yom. But what we do have is you can look in the archives. Look, just press. I think it's accessible to everybody. I don't know. Anyway, look in the archives. You can go back to a couple of months ago. But I don't know if it. Anyway, you can hear the chauffeur sounded there.
Somebody is playing dispatcher.
All right, man, that's good. That's all.
Maybe we have a Hatzalah member on our.
Could be maybe it's the taxi that's bringing the Mashiach. Here we go. A person should think how great, how lucky we are, how kind God is. We are so small that we can actually give pleasure to our Creator, to the greatest of the great. Why it says there's no possible way we can possibly comprehend God's greatness. So therefore, we should always be inspired, happy, and feel and appreciate and do serving of God with an eager heart and a spirit. I mean, God's giving us everything for free. We should do something for Him for free, right? Putting on tefillin. And of course, even if you don't put on tefillin, you don't do anything God wants, He still creates you. He creates you and He gives you eyes and ears and mouth. We see there's people do all sorts of terrible sins. They don't get no punishments. There's no punishments today. You don't see people like falling into holes or, fire coming from heaven, something like that. I mean, it does, but not necessarily to bad people. It comes to So we see that God gives us everything for free. So we should do something for him for free. We should do everything for him for free. Here we go. Next. That was today. Let us do tomorrow. And tomorrow, Shabbos. Shabbat. Here we go. This is the day that the second Rebbe of Chabad was born in 1773. And the day that he passed away in 1827, 54 years later. He is buried in the city of Nyazhin. I've been there a few times. Been there, Nyazhin. It's over there in Ukraine. People still go there. On the 9th day of Kislev, the first Rebbe of Chabad said, which is now the last chapter of the Tanya, he talked about the first temple, and the next day he said Chassidut again, and he concluded that the Maimon from Rosh Hashanah until Yud Tet Kislev, from all these years, 4 years, which were the words of the council from the earlier years, this is the basis for the 53 chapters of the Tanya. Sefer Shalbonim is the Tanya. There's the whole Tanya, 53 chapters. It came from 4 years of speeches that the Rebbe gave. It was condensed, distilled. God bless everybody. Okay, let's go again. Have a good Shabbat, everyone. A happy Shabbat, a meaningful Shabbat, and a Moshiach Dikkish Shabbos with
Amen.
Moshiach now. See you all, God willing, on Sunday, 8:15 in the morning.
8:15. Good Shabbos. Thank you.
Good Shabbos. How do we do this over here? There we go.